Donald Trump atraviesa un deterioro cognitivo cada vez más visible. Lo más preocupante, sin embargo, no es únicamente su estado de salud, sino la manera en que este vacío de liderazgo está siendo explotado por figuras que operan en la sombra, entre ellas Stephen Miller, quien ha pasado de asesor presidencial a convertirse en un actor central que moldea las políticas más agresivas y controvertidas del trumpismo. Hoy, en Rumor de Estado, analizaremos cómo el debilitamiento de Trump ha abierto espacio a una agenda paralela y cuáles son los riesgos que esto supone para el futuro de la democracia estadounidense. Un recordatorio rápido: si te está gustando el video, no olvides suscribirte, darle like, comentar y compartir el video. El 98% de las personas no está suscrito. Dicho esto, pasamos a video.
You are not an American citizen, that you are not afforded the same rights under the Constitution. Like, I've got colleagues that debate whether or not they are entitled to due process, and it's like, actually, that's they are. Yes. Like, it's not debatable, yes. But they are trying to make it debatable. They are trying to make it seem like, well, if you're an American citizen, you get it, but if you're not an American citizen, you don't get it. And that's why we saw Donald Trump just randomly kicking people out of this country and not giving them their day in court. And we know that even American citizens have been rounded up in that. And so that is what's so dangerous about this opinion, is that we know that you don't have to pass an accent test to actually be a U.S. citizen, right? So this idea that you can look at somebody and say, I'm looking at you and I think that you don't belong. Yep. Well, who is it that does belong? That's my question, because it seems like they are all about making sure if you don't have any melanin or very little, then you're the ones that look like you belong, and you can't look at somebody and know whether or not they are a U.S. citizen. Right. So why is it okay for ICE to then go out and see somebody and look at them or hear them and say whether or not they're a U.S. citizen, to the extent that they are, in my opinion, violating their constitutional rights? And for those people who don't fear that they'll be arrested in an immigration roundup because they look like they belong, this amendment, the idea that we've softened up around the Fourth Amendment, will one day come for you, because today it's about immigration. Yeah. But if it could be about anything at this point. Yeah. No. And again, I think you might be a subversive. Well, yeah, and I also think that we may end up going back to stop and frisk. I think that they may end up relitigating that and then just decide that they want to go into certain communities. Right. And they want to start rounding up certain people, whether it's that you wear a long black trench coat or whether it's that you are black. Like, I think.
El testimonio revela un punto clave. Los derechos fundamentales en Estados Unidos están siendo reinterpretados como privilegios selectivos. Lo que antes era un principio constitucional, la igualdad ante la ley, se convierte ahora en un debate ideológico. Esa erosión no surge de manera espontánea. Responde a una estrategia diseñada para justificar detenciones arbitrarias, deportaciones masivas y, en última instancia, un Estado con menos límites frente a sus ciudadanos. La figura de Stephen Miller encarna esa estrategia. Aunque Trump es el rostro visible, Miller ha sido el arquitecto de políticas que redefinen el alcance del poder presidencial. Desde la separación de familias en la frontera hasta intentos de restringir el acceso al asilo. Muchas de las medidas que marcaron al gobierno republicano llevan su sello. Lo más revelador es que en la medida en que Trump pierde la capacidad de decisión, Miller gana terreno. Documentos filtrados y testimonios de funcionarios exponen cómo Miller interviene en decisiones que van más allá de su rango formal, escribiendo borradores de órdenes ejecutivas e influyendo directamente en la agenda legislativa. Esto configura un escenario en el que el verdadero poder no reside en el presidente electo, sino en un consejero no elegido por nadie. La ironía es evidente. El trumpismo llegó bajo el poder de la promesa de combatir a un supuesto Estado profundo, que manipulaba las decisiones desde las sombras. Sin embargo, lo que ha sumergido es precisamente eso, un sistema donde las decisiones críticas se toman fuera del escrutinio público, con Trump reducido a firmar documentos que muchas veces ni comprende en su totalidad.
Gets dementia. How will we know? Donald Trump's mental decline, which is more and more obvious, started from such a low level of mental processing power that it's hard to track his decline. It's from low to...
El comentario, aunque mordaz, refleja un dilema real. ¿Cómo identificar un deterioro en alguien cuya gestión siempre estuvo marcada por improvisación, falta de rigor y confusión? Lo más preocupante no es únicamente la salud de Trump, sino el hecho de que este vacío se ha aprovechado para consolidar un poder paralelo.
And then you need to figure out why. And then you go in and you say, this is how you reduce it. You and I talked about poverty, right? So if you are doing things that are going to increase poverty, whether we're talking about your terrible tariffs that are illegal as well, or whether we're talking about the fact that you are defunding healthcare, you are defunding food, you are now going after education and defunding education and want to get rid of the Department of Education as a whole, or you want to take our tax dollars and make sure you send it off to the private schools that don't have to take every single child, you are definitely compounding the issue. You are not fixing anything. You are making things worse because you have no idea what you're doing. No. You messed us up before. We ended up having the worst job numbers when you were in the last time. And guess what? We've got the worst job numbers now, especially when you start to look at the Black community. So listen, if we want to figure out how we are going to be safer, we probably need people that have actual intelligence and actually will pay attention to data and facts and go from there. But what they're doing right now, it almost feels like, you know, I've seen the memes about the purge and all these things. But as somebody who understands history, when I see ICE, I see slave patrols. Now, I never lived through the slave patrol period, but if you know the history of policing in this country, then you understand that they were born out of slave patrols. And now with the Supreme Court saying this, it's almost like you can just go grab them up. That is what they're saying. And that is a problem. We all should have a problem with that. But when you don't want to teach American history that includes Black history, then you lose out on the benefit of understanding that we have been down this road before. And it was not good, and we fixed it once, and it is a...
Lo que hoy está en juego trasciende la figura de Trump. La normalización de políticas arbitrarias, la concentración de poderes en asesores sin responsabilidad democrática y la erosión progresiva de derechos básicos son señales de alerta. Stephen Miller no actúa simplemente como un colaborador, opera como un poder en la sombra que capitaliza la vulnerabilidad del propio presidente. La pregunta para ustedes es, ¿qué riesgos creen que implica que asesores no electos concentren más poder que su propio presidente? ¿Creen que la salud de Trump debería ser un tema central de debate político y mediático? Si este análisis les ha parecido útil, los invitamos a suscribirse, dejar un like, compartir este video para que más personas puedan entender lo que ocurre tras las cámaras del poder en Estados Unidos. Esto es Rumor de Estado.